Good morning. Welcome to the City of Glendale's Arts and Culture Commission meeting of April 18th, 2024. May I have roll call, please?
Yes, Vice Chair Yank,
Here.
Commissioner Vyar,
Here.
Commissioner Zadorian,
Here.
Commissioner Pogosian,
Here.
Commissioner Alexandrian,
Here.
and Chairperson Vidor.
Here.
And Commissioner Tufankian is absent. Agenda item 1, posting of the agenda for the April 18th, 2024 regular meeting of the Glendale Arts and Culture Commission was posted on April 15th, 2024 on the bulletin board outside City Hall. Agenda item 2, consent items, minutes of the March 21st, 2024 regular meeting of the Arts and Culture Commission.
Okay, we have the minutes of March 21st. Has everybody had a chance to look at them, and does anyone have any additions or corrections?
I make a motion for the minutes of the March 21st regular Arts and Culture Commission meeting.
Second.
Roll call?
Vice Chair Yank,
Yes.
Commissioner Vyar,
Yes.
Commissioner Zadorian,
Yes.
and Chairperson Vidor.
Yes.
Agenda item 3, introductions and presentations, library arts and culture events presented by Loretta Lopez, Program Coordinator. Wings of Earth by Vivian Adamian and Natalia Soukias is on view at the Adams Square Mini Park gas station until Friday, May 31st. Wings of Earth transforms the gas station into a cultural community sacred space for reflection on land and loss. Adamian and Soukias created a series of hanging objects inspired by decorative ceramics from ancient Armenian churches and vessels whose naturalistic contours and folds recall peaks and valleys from lands lost, both literal and metaphorical. Drawing from ancestral and contemporary stories of hope and grief, the artist wished to offer viewers a space of reflection and awe. For more information, please visit the link on the screen. The City of Glendale invites the community to come together to honor, remember, and stand in solidarity with victims of the Armenian genocide around the world by attending one or all of the following events hosted by the city during the week of April 20th, 2024. Babo, a reading and book signing with Astrid Kamalian on Otsock Avenue on Saturday, April 20th at 11 a.m. Before and after, reflections on the Armenian genocide opening reception presented by Glendale Library Arts and Culture's Reflect Space Gallery on Saturday, April 20th from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. City of Glendale's 23rd Annual Armenian Genocide Commemorative Event at the Alex Theater on Sunday, April 21st at 4 p.m. Poets Against Genocide, hosted by Glendale poet laureate Rafi Jo Wartanian at the Center for Armenian Arts on Thursday, April 25th at 7 p.m. And film screenings of Songs of Solomon and discussion with producer Asko Akopian at Look Dine in Cinema on Friday, April 26th at 7 p.m. All events are free to attend, and you may RSVP by visiting glendaleca.gov/AGCE. For more information, please visit the link on the screen. The Brand Associates Dance Series, curated by acclaimed choreographer, teacher, and producer Jamie Nichols, presents top dance companies from Southern California performing site-specific work in non-traditional performance spaces around Brand Library and Arts Center. The 2024 dance series takes place Saturdays from April 27th through May 18th. Performances run between 60 to 90 minutes without intermission. Admission is free. For more information, please visit the link on the screen. Art Talk Tuesday is a monthly conversation that invites contemporary artists to discuss their work and the issues surrounding it, followed by a moderated Q&A with Brand staff member, artist, and writer Jennifer Remenchik. On Tuesday, April 30th at 7 p.m., join us for a conversation with Ara Oshagan, a diasporic multidisciplinary artist, curator, and cultural worker whose practice explores collective and personal histories of dispossession, legacies of violence, identity, and unimagined futures. For more information, please visit the link on the screen. Glendale Library Arts and Culture invites you to join a series of virtual author talks in partnership with the Library Speakers Consortium. On Wednesday, May 8th at 4 p.m., you're invited to join Nina Simon online as she chats about her lighthearted whodunit about a grandmother-mother-daughter trio of amateur sleuths, Mother-Daughter Murder Night. For more information, please visit the link on the screen.
Thank you very much, Ms. Lopez. Does anyone have any comments or questions about what was presented?
If I can make a comment, actually. So I'm the commission's representative to the Armenian Genocide Committee. I have been the last 3 years, and it's been an amazing experience. I just want to talk about two of those specific events. So BABA was actually a children's event. It wasn't clarified on the event flyer. We wanted one event that was focused on children. It's an incredible book that I didn't even know my nephew actually owned the book. So when I found out about it, I said, what an incredible opportunity to invite this author from out of state. We're flying her in for the main event and for this children's event. We're going to have rugs kind of like spread out on ArtSock where kids can sit on it and be read to and meet the author and get their book signed. And then the second one is the Poets Against Genocide. This is going to be an incredible event. So I just want to kind of give the brief rundown. So it's going to be featuring 13 award-winning writers. The event will use poetry as a lens to explore the shared humanity represented by writers of various backgrounds who collectively oppose the current genocidal erasure inflicted upon the Armenians of the Armenian Highlands and the Southern Caucasus, Palestinians of Gaza, the indigenous tribes of the Americas, and many others around the world in response to hate, violence, and discrimination in all its forms, including Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, and anti-AAPI assaults. Poetry will be catalyzed to embrace tolerance, diversity, and solidarity. And our poet laureate has done an incredible job at bringing in many amazing poets from different backgrounds. So we're going to have Jewish poets, we're going to have Palestinian poets, we're going to actually have a Turkish poet, an Armenian poet, several Armenian poets, and a indigenous Native American poet as well. So it will be an incredible experience. So I invite everybody to join us.
Thank you very much. I have one more thing to add, and I'm not surprised it didn't get on. As part of the dance series this year, we're doing one of our real art films at Brand Library, sponsored by the Brand Associates. The film is called Bella, and it's about the famous LA-based dancer Bella Lewitsky. Won a lot of awards as a documentary, and Bridget Murnane, who is the director of the film, who happens to live locally, will be there to talk about the film and answer questions. So that's May 16th, Bella, at 5:30. Thanks. Okay. I think unless anyone else has something, we can move on.
Agenda item 4, or written communications, there are none. Agenda item 5, oral communications, there are none. So agenda item 6, discussion items. First, we have ArtSock Avenue redevelopment project, public art.
Good morning, Commissioners. Excuse me. Good morning, Commissioners. We are Jennifer Fukutomi Jones, Principal Arts and Culture Administrator. Today, we are going to be talking about the ArtSock Avenue redevelopment project and the public art pieces that are initially planned for that project. We do have Bo Bass here, who's the Chief Executive Officer of LaBass Projects, who represents those artists that we've been working with. On March 21st, 2024, Deputy Director Sarkis Oganessian attended the Arts and Culture Commission meeting to give the Commission an update on the ArtSock Avenue redevelopment project. Mr. Oganessian stated that the Public Works Department did release a construction bid, and unfortunately no bids were received for that particular project. So we are here today to talk about options for the public arts works that are tentatively planned for that street. So if you go to the next slide, I just wanted to give a reminder, a refresher of what those pieces look like so that we can have a robust conversation about the future of these projects. First, we have Bountiful by Matthew Mazzata Studio. This piece is tentatively located on ArtSock Avenue, specifically the South Block, located on the corner of ArtSock Avenue and Harvard Street, which is directly across from Home Goods. The dimensions are fairly large. It's about 31 feet high, 41 feet wide, and 52 feet in depth. So it's a very large piece. The medium is fiberglass, steel, wood, and LED lighting, and this is intended to be a long-term piece for 25 plus years. Go to the next slide. The other potential artwork that we have is located on ArtSock Avenue, specifically the North Block. The dimensions are 14 feet in height and 8 feet by width. This was intended also to be a part of a bench that's intended to be utilized on the street, so it was intended to be embedded as part of that bench area. The medium is stainless steel and LED lighting, and again, this piece also is a permanent piece intended to have 25 years or longer. Next slide. We also have our creative crosswalks that were considered as part of this project as well. We are working with an artist, Garine Yepremian, for Discover ArtSock, which is 11 creative crosswalks on that street. We can go through it fairly quickly, but it encompasses both the North and South Block. As you can see on the screen, we'll just briefly go through it. In regards to alternatives to consider, we have three, which we've discussed with LeBass projects as potential options that the commission can consider for these artworks. The first would be to find new locations for the artwork, specifically for those first two pieces with Bountiful by Matthew Matsada and Tamid Gohar. Those are fairly large pieces, so it may be difficult to find new locations, but it's something that the city can consider. The second option would be to redistribute funding of the artworks to other projects. So if we do decide not to move forward with these particular artworks, we can put those funds back into the Urban Art Fund and potentially re-release new projects for consideration. If we were to do that, we would invite the current artists as kind of a first opportunity so that they would have the option to submit a proposal if they so choose. And the third option would be to wait for a construction update on the project. The concern with this is that if we do wait, due to inflation, costs will increase. So we would have to consult with the artist to receive updated budgets for what the costs now have increased. And then also we would probably need to go back to City Council for approval of additional funds for those pieces. If you go to the next slide, we did talk about other options, but we've discussed that these are options that we should not consider at this time, which is the first would be to install the artworks on Artsock Avenue out now. The main concern with this is that we would incur extensive costs associated with it if we were to install the pieces. There could be potential damage to the artwork if we were to install it, deinstall it, store it, and bring it back. And also, of course, the cost of storage for an indefinite amount of time. So that would be a huge cost. The other option that we're not considering is to fabricate the artworks now and then to store them for an indefinite amount of time, which again, could potentially incur a large cost for, we don't know how long, depending on the status of the project. So those are alternatives that we're not considering. If we can go back to the previous slide. So these are the three options that staff is recommending that the commission discussed today. And then, Bo, if you'd like to add anything to the options or just, you're welcome to.
Yeah, I think Jennifer and I spent some time reviewing these. I think, unfortunately, none of these are really ideal scenarios. I mean, the ideal thing would be Artsock being redeveloped and us on schedule. But, you know, in terms of the options, I think from our perspective, without having any understanding, and again, we'll, you know, definitely defer to you, but without any understanding of when Artsock, you know, might sort of move forward and how long the construction timeline that's going to be. I mean, already we're probably looking at, you know, minimum multiple years. You know, our thought would be to probably redistribute and find, you know, new opportunities, you know, redistribute the funds. You know, both of these artworks are so site-specific, particular Matthew Mazzada's. It would be very hard. And again, even the challenges we've had in terms of like, you know, we've working with you also, like the challenges of finding ideal locations, you know, across the city for large artwork. I think it'd be a challenge to relocate either of these and have them necessarily make sense. So, you know, I think from our perspective, redistributing the funds and sort of going back to the drawing board and finding an ideal location. I know we talked about like gateways and other opportunities, and I think, you know, rather than trying to relocate these specific artworks.
Thank you. Are we ready to go around the room? Okay. So we'll just, you know, you can, at this point, ask questions or give your ideas. This is a brainstorm session, so we'll all say what's ever on our mind and put it in the hopper. So we'll start with Commissioner Yank.
Yeah, I mean, sorry. I tend to be in agreement with Bo's assessment. Just that trying to find a new location for the current artworks, I don't think makes sense just because they are so site-specific to the locations. Inviting them to submit a new proposal, yeah, where, I mean, like you said, none of these are ideal, but I do feel like that might be the best way to go. I'd be very curious about sites that we have already maybe identified and haven't had artists for, if any. I'm trying to recall if we have like a list of sites that we're thinking about.
we have gone through an extensive list of sites. This might open some more things up. I mean, so much of the budget of this overall project was tied up into there were three installations on ARTSOC. So having larger budgets will probably allow us to look into some sites that maybe we weren't really thinking of at the beginning, because from the very beginning of the art location selection process, we tied up so much of the budget into ARTSOC that we were looking at smaller sort of alternate locations outside, but knowing we have some large budgets, I think we'll have to revisit opportunities that maybe we weren't looking at because we just didn't have the budget for it.
And then I guess my final thought is just thinking about what could happen on ARTSOC in the meantime. I think just thinking creatively about, like, can there be a budget that is dedicated to temporary works or works that are only designed to be there for 3 to 5 years, something to still have artwork along that street as it's kind of in this liminal transitional period. That's my other, just like, I'll pose that to the group as being a potential as well, because I would hate to just kind of abandon it and be like, nothing's going to happen on ARTSOC. But maybe there is some other solution of, like, is there some mural projects, or is there something that is like is not going to be this giant cost to, like, install and then remove, and is less permanent, I guess.
Vice Chair, I think that's a great suggestion. I have not talked to Public Works about this, so I'll precurse that. But in regard to the creative crosswalks, that is something that we could maybe consider as a temporary installation, but we'd have to look at the budget and see how much that would cost, because the funds for the creative crosswalk were tied to the construction bid. So this would be an entirely new budget line item if we were to decide to do that. So I can talk to Public Works about that. But absolutely, we can think of potential options for temporary art or mural art that's located on ARTSOC.
Commissioner Yang, I think that's actually a really great, idea of doing temporary artworks. We have managed for the city of Santa Monica on along the 3rd Street Promenade, a series of rotating temporary sculpture installations that each, I think, lasted between 3 to 4 months. There obviously is some budget associated with that, but things being designed. I mean, we had these, like, large wood boxes that were painted that were really cool and that were really sort of active and engaging. So, I mean, I think that's something we can certainly look at, trying to carve out a potential budget and a timeline of, 2 years worth of temporary installations.
And to the point of redistribution, I think it's I don't want the public to think that we're not going to do artwork on ARTSOC once the construction bid is approved. I think we can definitely make sure to reserve funds in the budget for a future time, and then we consider these large pieces. But it's just, in our opinion, a temporary hold until the construction bid is approved.
Okay, Commissioner Vire.
Well, it's so disappointing, but I think for me, one of the great losses is the interactive nature of both those pieces, the draw to ARTSOC. So if a temporary piece could be put up that would have the same sort of draw that Tamat Gohar, for example, has, it would be wonderful, because it would get people familiar with that, and to your point, Jennifer, it would keep that as an art location in people's minds, in the public mind, and they'll maybe be looking for the next steps and the new installations. There isn't any place big enough to put Tamat Gohar, no?
We could potentially look, but to Bo's point, they're so site-specific, and that particular one was intended to be embedded as part of the bench.
I know, it looked fabulous that way, so I guess that it would be hard to sacrifice that piece of the whole. So, but I guess I would support Vice Chair Yank's suggestion of temporary pieces to just kind of keep the concept of an art center in people's mind, in the public mind. Thanks.
Thank you. Before we go to Commissioner Zadorian, I'd just like to ask, just to make sure, I think usually the minutes are fairly, of the meetings are fairly general. And I was actually asked after our last meeting, I sent out the replay of the video to a number of people. And I got a couple questions about exactly what we're talking about. So it would be nice to have our brainstorm, the details of it in the minutes if we could. I know we usually don't get that detailed, but I think making public what our thinking is a good idea. So is that okay legally and with everybody? All right.
Absolutely.
Okay. You're up.
Okay. So I just want to start with, I don't want to see these pieces elsewhere. That's how I want to start the conversation because they were specific to the area, so I agree with all of you. And I wouldn't want to see it anywhere else. I don't think it'll fit anywhere else, but also I would rather wait it out. I do think that we should wait until we have the next update from community development. Is that what's Public Works. I apologize. From Public Works, just in case, I know that there was a next step that they were going to rebid or what it was. So maybe we wait to make a final decision, but we do brainstorm right now and kind of come up with ideas. I personally don't want them to move elsewhere. I think we should wait and come after the next update, which was supposed to be in a few months. I am interested to know what the cost of moving and storage, even though that was not an option, versus the rate of inflation. And when you say inflation, do you mean the artist cost? What is the inflation specific to?
Yeah, I can speak to that a little bit. So just to give you an example, and it's hard to, I can't give you an exact percentage of what it's going to be in 5 years. We are in the process of installing a huge marble sculpture in terms of storage in Santa Ana, and that's sitting, it's about a 25-foot marble piece. That's sitting in storage just for a couple of months while we're waiting for the site to be finished. It's like almost $40,000 in storage. And I think it's there for like not even 4 months. And again, just the scale and the storage for these kinds of, the scale of these works adds up really quickly. And then in terms of like the inflation, we're getting ready to go into fabrication on a piece that's like 5 years in the making in Culver City, like a really large scale sculpture that was concepted and approved basically pre-pandemic. And then there was city council holds, and for various reasons, we're just getting ready to get into fabrication. And it started off with a $1.8 million budget. We're almost $600,000 over budget now. And that's everything from material costs have skyrocketed, and it's all aluminum. You know, it's a 120-foot long, 30-foot tall aluminum piece. And what's really actually skyrocketed is labor costs. Okay. There are not as many fabricators open now. A lot of fabrication shops closed over the pandemic and have not reopened. So the few that are out there actually have more work than they can handle. So all their labor costs have like skyrocketed. So it's, again, I can't speak to where we're going to be in 3 years if this is getting fabricated then, but I just know costs between storage, labor, materials have skyrocketed over the last couple of years.
So we'll take that into consideration. And then the last point that I would like to make is for the creative crosswalks, is that still possible? I know that they're going to be doing construction, but considering that's a walkway and the walkway is always going to be there, can we do it? And if there's certain walkways that will be under construction, maybe we don't touch those yet, but we do a few of them. So at least we have something that's going up. And then I do agree that the possibility of a temporary installation is a great idea. If we can do that as well as either a rotating piece, something, because that area is just screaming for art. And it's very well used, and so I would love to see something go up as soon as possible while we wait until the next update. But any update on the Creative Crosswalk, if it's possible, and why that is also on hold?
Well, like I mentioned before, it was tied to the construction bid, so that the funds for the creative crosswalks were part of Public Works budget for the construction bid. I can talk to Public Works and see if that's an option. If we can move forward, it probably wouldn't be 11 crosswalks. It would be a little bit different depending on the amount of crosswalks that we have in for consideration now. And we could just work with the artist to tweak those designs. But I can definitely talk to Public Works and see if that's an option and what that would potentially cost, because that would come out of the Urban Art Fund. It wouldn't come out of Public Works' budget.
Oh, it would come out of our Urban Art Fund. Okay, all right. That's something that I'm willing to kind of think about if everybody else is in agreement.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And quickly to Bo's point, even our current artists, I think the two pieces that we reviewed earlier were approved in 2022, and we've already had discussions with artists of how costs have increased, right, over the past 2-3 years. So it's just something to think about in regard to inflation.
Yeah, Forma Studios has already brought up multiple times that like they were really lean on their budget to start with, and they've been asking us to potentially cover other costs to sort of mitigate the increases that they've already seen. So,
Can I just ask a clarifying question of do we have a sense of when this next update would happen? Like, is it just a couple months that we're sort of seeing what the decision is in terms of releasing the bid and that sort of thing?
I can follow up with the Public Works Department. From my understanding, the Public Works Department, Community Development Department, and the City Manager's Office need to meet together. I don't know if that meeting has happened yet, but I can follow up. And then from that meeting, then we would have to go to City Council. So it'll be a few months, I'm assuming, at least.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Bogosian,
No, I don't have any comments.
no comments?
No.
Commissioner Alexandrian?
I think all like my questions were answered, but it's just like really devastating to hear that like these beautiful pieces can't be put up and we have to look for alternatives for Artsakh.
True. All right, so, yeah, I love the idea of a temporary thing. In fact, after I got these inquiries, I wrote down, art happens on Artsakh, sort of like art happens anywhere 2.0, you know. That actually, you know, that's what people got out of watching that thing, that we should do something else and make Artsakh vital and attract people to it. My personal opinion is that I know Kathy Horenda's piece, Ride Like the Wind, which is in front of the library on a pad, is, I believe she's donated the piece to the city.
She's in the process of doing
She's in the
so.
process of donating, and it's going to be relocated to another place, possibly in a park. And this is a little bit, you know, off the beaten path as a suggestion, but the tree is monumental. But that is an extremely visible place, and even though it's not right on Artsakh, it's kind of almost like a gateway location. And is there any way that Bountiful could be reduced in size, not that much, but enough to fit on that pad? I don't know the size of the pad, and that the tree canopy would fit, because that's a garden too. And the idea of putting a really amazing tree like that in a garden where there's a huge amount of foot traffic, I think would be a cool place, but it would require a scale down. So that's one. On Tamar Gohar, yeah, that's a tough one, and I don't want to give that one up. You know, for me, I don't know how it fits on Artsakh and when, and whether they're willing to wait it out, but I would keep that one there. So that's my suggestion, to find another location and possibly rescale the tree. And I really like the space in front of the library. That screams for art. And it's almost like people will go there to see it, and then they'll be drawn to see other things on. They'll see all the temporary art on Artsakh, and then they'll be drawn into that space. So those two, and then let's see, there were some other things, and maybe I'll think of them, but I can't think of them now. So that's my suggestion. It's not that I have anything against Public Works. I know they're going to work really, really hard to make this project happen, because it's been so long in the making, and it would just be a disaster to not have it happen. But it's going to be hard to get a realistic timeline, because the general way things work is that, you know, there are inevitable delays, things happen, and that the timeline gets pushed. So I guess for Bo, I have to ask you, you know, what is the tolerance there for pushing it? And then is there any way we could get reconfigured estimates of costs, since, you know, inevitably prices are going to go up? Could they give us things like, well, in 2026, it's going to cost you X?
I think unfortunately, and we go through this all the time, fabrication bids, it's like they usually will give you like, you've got 15 days, because steel prices, metal prices are literally fluctuating on a daily basis. So if they give a bid, rarely will you see a bid from a fabricator lock in for more than 30 days.
Okay.
So I think there's almost no chance that we can get a locked-in cost for 26. 26. I agree. I mean, I think, Commissioner Dorian mentioned it. You're talking about like, we don't really want to lose these pieces.
No.
But certainly, hopefully the artists, let's say it happens 27 that these things are ready to deliver, 28, who knows how long the construction timeline will take. But hopefully these artists are still interested in, still making these pieces. And if they are, then it's just having to look back and see what the costs are at that point, and then, whether the city has the budget for it. But I wish we could lock something into, price into 26.
Yeah. And what is your technical assessment of being able to reduce the size of the tree so it's still monumental, but it would fit in the space in front of the public library?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure, whether it's Hamid Kahar or Bountiful, I'm sure they're all, available, and willing to scale. It fortunately has not been engineered. It's still in the concept drawing. I know they've done, Matthew's team's done a lot of research on materials, but it hasn't been fully engineered yet. So, if he was under contract and we asked him to scale it down to fit and work with Public Works to figure out what fits there, I'm sure they'd be open to that. I'm sure Matthew's team would be open to that.
Okay, thanks.
To the point of the art pad in front of Central Library, that was always, under my understanding, intended to be temporary art. Hence Kathy's Ride Like the Wind piece. So if we do move forward with this temporary art on ArtSoc or within the Central Library area, we could potentially have that as an area that we consider for temporary art. If Matthew's piece is something that we want to keep in size and dimension.
Yeah, it would be great before the next meeting if since I think everybody agrees that temporary art on ArtSoc is a good idea, that we start working closely with Public Works so we find out what's feasible and what they're willing to do. Okay. So does anyone else want to, do we need another round here? Anyone else? Okay.
Yeah, I was just wondering is there a plan, once Ride Like the Wind is moved, is there a piece scheduled to go in there
No.
at this point? No.
There's no piece scheduled.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you. So I guess we're now on to the next thing, but, at the next meeting, I hope we can get more information. Maybe Public Works can come back and address the issue of temporary art so we can move on this. And I know this is another Art Happens Anywhere 2.0 is going to create more work for you, so, we want to hear an assessment of that as well. Okay. Next.
Agenda item 6B, 2023 to 2024 work plan progress updates.
The only major update that we have, Commissioners, is that we are still diligently working on the mural ordinance, specifically with the City Attorney's Office, and we're hoping to have a draft very soon. We're almost there. So we will have an update for you. That's the only update we have.
Can I ask a question? Does anyone have anything about mural? Can I ask a question about the whole mural program? And it goes back a little bit to the ArtSoc thing, perhaps something thematically similar to what was going to be installed on ArtSoc with the creative crosswalks. Would it be possible to do something on the, there's a very complex, highly trafficked crosswalk by the Americana crossing Brand, and I don't know what the plans are for that. I assume that's going to be a creative crosswalk space. And could one of the murals, one of those muralists who designed for ArtSoc, could they do something on that street?
I can definitely ask Public Works. I know that moving forward, whenever they're doing redevelopment of this particular street, they are considering creative crosswalks. So for example, we have the San Fernando Road crosswalks that are coming up, the La Crescenta Rehabilitation Project. So anytime that they're repaving or redoing a road project, they'll consider creative crosswalks. I don't know about that particular intersection near the Americana, but I can ask.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Go ahead.
Agenda item 7, commission and staff comments.
Oh, we're already on, where are we? Oh, my goodness, we went fast. I have a couple comments that relate to potential, well, wait a minute, what am I doing? Commissioner Yang, do you have any comments?
No, I actually don't have any comments at this time, yeah.
Yes, I do. as a matter of fact. I have some notes written, some comments written. As David and I have bought a home outside the city boundaries of Glendale, this is my final meeting as a commissioner. I want to thank you, Jennifer Fukutomi-Jones, for your diligent work and wise guidance to the commission. The combination of your expertise in the arts field, your exceptional work ethic, your diligence in outreach, and your tenacity in problem solving have kept us on the path toward realizing our mission. And of course, you always will be unmatched as an intern scout, right? Loretta Lopez, it's been a pleasure to watch you develop your skill set as you have assumed your position of program coordinator. So thank you for your good work. And to my fellow commissioners, thank you for an enjoyable as well as edifying 4+ years. You have broadened my understanding of and my appreciation for the visual arts. I know we've encountered some disappointing delays of the iconic pieces we've selected, and it could be years before our work comes to fruition. However, I will be pleasantly reminded of what we have done together every time I pass over a creative crosswalk, go by a themed utility box, and I hope and expect even more frequently sit on an art-enhanced bench eating an ice cream cone on Honolulu. So I wish you all the best as you continue the work to make Glendale an arts destination. Thanks to all of you.
Well, thank you, and we're going to continue with the commissioner's comments now, but at the end of the meeting, we will fet you appropriately. So, Commissioner Zadorian, comments.
I was not going to have any comments, but considering the ball you just dropped on us, I'm surprised, sad, but thank you very much for your service. You've done an incredible job, and it's been amazing to work alongside you, so thank you. And I hope that you guys really enjoy being outside of Glendale. I think you'll be back.
We're just barely over the line.
Okay. Can't ever leave Glendale. But thank you.
Thanks.
My turn?
Thanks.
Okay. Since we're in the month of April and it's Armenian History Month, we have events this week in remembrance to the Armenian genocide. Last week I attended the Armot Festival, and I think the community had fun dancing, eating, and uniting together. I just wanted to take a moment to extend my heartfelt congratulations to Artie Kasakian on his re-election to Glendale City Council, to Vartan Karapetyan on his successful campaign and return to City Council, and to Ellen Asataryan for stepping into the role of our new mayor. Their commitment to our community is truly inspiring, and I look forward to working alongside with them. And lastly, a special thank you to outgoing council member Paula Devine for her dedicated service and contributions to our city over the years. I also attended her farewell reception honoring her service for over a decade, and she will be missed. And now, to Commissioner Vyar, I didn't know it was your last day. It was my honor to work with you in this short time during my term on this commission. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
I don't have anything regarding the meeting, but for the couple months that I've known you, it has been amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, and I have to, because I went first, so I just want to say, I really, really, really have loved working with you, Jane, and getting to know you, and appreciate all you've done for this council, your steady hand as chair, and your ideas and creativity, and it's been a true pleasure.
Thank you, Sue. Likewise.
Okay, I have two comments, and it relates to agenda items, potential agenda items. One of them is that I think we should probably take a look at the page on our website that talks about sponsorship and the criteria for obtaining a sponsorship. One thing that interests me is the $3,000 to $5,000 limit. I think we might want to broaden that, especially on the lower end, down to something else, so people don't feel like, well, I have a $2,000 project that's very valuable, but it doesn't qualify because it's not expensive enough. And then also the due diligence around monitoring, if you ask for money from this commission, are you able to show that that's roughly the amount of money you spent, so that you just don't get a blank check to get your 5,000 if you're only spending 3,000? So just a review of that, and potentially at some point in the future, a kind of an edited version. And then the second thing has to do with the placement of public art. I know that there's been a lot of discussion in the past at times about people with a special thing either donating it to the city or putting it on public space. And personally, I think it's really important, since our mandate is to deal with art in public places, is that when something is being placed, that we at least get to hear it. Whether we vote on it or not is another question. But I'm specifically thinking about, because I pass it often, that there is a painting down in the City Hall lobby. It's a very beautiful painting. I'm not sure how it got there. It's a very monumental painting, big, and in a very appropriately ornate frame. So it's beautifully done, but it's on almost an afterthought of a wall that isn't really even a wall. It's a dividing wall, and a painting of that scale. And this really isn't the point, but a painting of that scale would always go on a large wall and stand alone. And I'm very curious as to how it was approved to be placed in the City Hall lobby, who donated it, and I feel that we, the commission, should have input into these types of decisions. So those are the two things that I would like to talk about in the future. And, what's next? Okay. So if there isn't anything else, I will now, some of you stole the thunder, but that's okay. We have,
Prior to, may I see some comments regarding Commissioner Vyar?
yes.
Before
Well,
we
yeah,
move forward.
I was gonna have a round.
Oh, do a round, okay.
Yeah.
My apologies.
We'll
Go ahead.
have a round if anybody wants to add anything, but Commissioner Vyar, we are extremely, extremely sad that you're leaving. I've enjoyed working with you immensely, and I've seen you through your tenure on the commission really develop and grow into a very, very valuable member of this commission with a lot of great ideas. And to Commissioner Zadorian's point, I hope you don't go over that border and never return. I think you've been such an asset to our community here. I hope you stay engaged. I think you are staying engaged in some things
Where they let me, yes.
where they let you, because residency doesn't matter, and I'm glad to hear that. And we hope you'll come back and visit us. And we are going to have a photo op in front of the podium with you and your plaque, which.
Oh my gosh, I
comes
thought you
from-
guys didn't know that I was leaving, obviously.
I knew, because as chair, I'm presenting this, unfortunately, due to the Brown Act, which annoys the heck out of me.
You can
I
tell me.
wasn't allowed to share the information with the rest of the commission, but if anyone else wants to speak or say anything in appreciation of Jane's wonderful service, please, say something else.
They said enough. Jennifer.
Jennifer.
Well, thank you. And I did know that Commissioner Vyar was going to be transitioning out of the commission today, but it is a huge loss to the commission. And I feel so grateful for the opportunity to have worked with you, learned from you. I've learned so much during your tenure. It was a pleasure working with you as you were chair of the commission during a very tough time. We were also president of the Glendale Library Arts and Culture Trust, and also in the midst of a departmental director transition as well. So you really held down the fort exceptionally well. I've always admired your leadership model of empathy and grace and kindness, especially as in your dealings with staff. And staff is very appreciative of your support that you've always given them throughout the years. So we're very grateful for that. And we'll miss you so much. And it's been so wonderful to work with you. So thank you.
Thanks.
Yes, please come back and
Make-
visit us.
Well,
Yeah, when Jennifer handed me this, I went, oh my goodness, we're saying goodbye to Jane. So, I don't know if we want to adjourn the meeting and then do the photo op, or do it first. I leave that to,
Okay. We can adjourn the meeting, but we will need to have a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting, and then we can take the photos.
okay. So may I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'd like to do that.
Thank you, Jane.
Is that okay? You can second. Yes, I move we adjourn the meeting.
I second.